Hey friends! So back a while ago now, I talked about my results from the Myers-Briggs personality test and shared with you the spread that I made to record all of the information I learned about myself through that process. And a lot of you on the comments of that video and since have asked if I would do the same thing with the Enneagram test, which I have actually never taken. So I thought it would be fun in today's video for me to take the test live with you and then take you along with me as I create a spread to record everything I learn and try to make this as much of a growing experience as possible. So I'm going to do the test on my phone, and I'm going to put the link in the description box to the specific test that I'm doing because there are lots of different Enneagram tests on the internet. So tap the link in the description box if you want to take this with me. I think it could be really fun if we take it at the same time. And then once we get to the spread part of the video, I highly encourage you pull out your bullet journal and make your own Enneagram spread. I like the idea of y'all literally planning with me while you watch my videos. Or alternatively, just grab a cup of tea or coffee and just hang out with me. I think this should be pretty interesting. So according to my research, the Enneagram is a system of personality typing that describes patterns in how people conceptualize the world and manage their emotions. The Enneagram model describes 9 different personality types and maps each of these types on a 9-pointed diagram, which helps to illustrate how the types relate to one another. According to the Enneagram, every personality has a certain worldview and looks at the world through their own lens or filter. This makes it possible to explain why people behave in certain ways. By describing how the basic personality adapts and responds to both stressful and supportive situations, the Enneagram shows opportunities for personal development and provides a foundation for the understanding of others. So that sounds amazing. As I explained in past videos, my one on the Myers-Briggs personality test and my astrology video, I really like using these sorts of things as a tool for self-development. I am a big fan of self-development in general. I have spent a lot of my adult life trying to take stock of who I am as a person, where my faults lie, where I have room to grow, sort of what my hangups are, as well as my strengths and the things that make me unique or make me awesome, because I know that those things exist as well. This seems like an awesome opportunity for me to, again, take a chance to look at myself through a different lens or filter and use that to take stock of where I am now as a 27-year-old woman. Who am I right now? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What can I continue to work on to try to be the best version of myself? And that's what I recommend to anyone who's looking into personality tests or astrology. You don't have to 100% believe that they are rock-clad, solid, evidence-based information about who you are as a person, but if you can relate to any part of it and you can use that in a productive way to learn more about yourself and to grow and evolve as a person, then I think that is the best way to use these types of tools. So without further ado, now that we know what the Enneagram is, I recommend you tap that link so that we can take this quiz together. Also, if anyone's curious about my nails, I just painted them before I filmed this video and I keep staring at them. I just got this polish from Cirque Colors. They were kind enough to gift it to me with some of their other shades. And this one is urbanized, and I love this mustard yellow color. It is amazing. Their nail polish is vegan and cruelty-free, so check them out if you're not familiar. This isn't sponsored. I just thought people might ask because people always ask what color is on my nails. I digress. Let's move on. I'm gonna try to answer this as honestly as possible. Okay, 1. I've been romantic and imaginative or pragmatic and down to earth. I would say I have been romantic and imaginative. 2. I've tended to take on confrontations or avoid confrontations. Avoid confrontations 100%. I hate confrontation with all of my being. 3. I have typically been diplomatic, charming, and ambitious, or direct, formal, and idealistic. That's kind of hard because I see myself in both of those things. My husband is in his studio right now, so I'm gonna go ask him because I really don't know. 1 second. Okay, so I asked my husband, he said that I am more the second one, so direct, formal, and idealistic. I've tended to be focused and intense or spontaneous and fun-loving. Definitely focused and intense. I am not spontaneous. I do love fun, but I don't know if I'd categorize myself as fun-loving, you know? 5. I have been a hospitable person and have enjoyed welcoming new friends into my life, or private person and have not mixed much with others. That's hard. I mean, I guess the second one. Once I let someone in, I feel like I am quite open and loving, and I really commit to them, and I like to care for people and try to be a good friend to people. But I am a pretty private person. I'm very introverted, so. Okay, 6. Generally, it's been easy to get a rise out of me or difficult to get a rise out of me. This one's hard because I'm definitely an emotional, passionate person, so I can have a reaction pretty easily. Get a rise makes me think of getting angry, and I do think it's harder to make me angry versus other emotions, but I would say probably easy just because I am a very emotional, sort of reactive person. 7, I've been more of a street smart survivor or a high-minded idealist. Just the way it said, face value, I'm going to say high-minded idealist because I wouldn't categorize myself as a street smart survivor. 8, I have needed to show affection to people or prefer to maintain a certain distance with people. I would say the first one, I definitely, once I'm comfortable with someone, am very affectionate. 9, when presented with a new experience, I've usually asked myself if it would be useful to me or enjoyable. Probably useful to me, I think. 10, I've tended to focus too much on myself or others. I would say others just because I have struggled a lot with focusing on what other people are doing, comparing myself to others, wondering what other people think of me. 11, others have depended on my insight and knowledge or strength and decisiveness. Definitely insight and knowledge. I think I'm a strong person, but I am the most indecisive person on the planet, so definitely more my insight and knowledge. I like to think that I know a lot of things and I can be insightful, so I'll say that. 12, I have come across as being too unsure of myself or sure of myself. I don't know. Like, this is coming across, I guess, to strangers, people who don't know me very well. I'm gonna say unsure of myself because it's more accurate just in general for me. And maybe that shows through to other people, I don't know. Okay, 13, I have been more relationship-oriented than goal-oriented, or goal-oriented than relationship-oriented. I feel like I'm both. I'm a perfectionist. I would say I'm very goal-oriented, but I do really care about my relationships. But I think probably for the most part of my life, I've definitely been more goal-oriented. 14, I have not been able to speak up for myself very well or been outspoken. I've said what others wished they had the nerve to say. I'm gonna say not being able to speak up for myself very well because I am working on this. I think I'm a lot better at it now than I was at any other time in my life, but I've always really struggled with confrontation and speaking up for myself in the moment. And there's lots of times that I've let people get away with taking advantage of me or not treating me very well because I just didn't want to make myself and other people uncomfortable by standing up for myself. So yeah, luckily I'm getting better at this. 15, it's been difficult for me to stop considering alternatives and do something definite or take it easy and be more flexible. Definitely take it easy and be more flexible. I am not the most easygoing person. 16, I have tended to be hesitant and procrastinating or bold and domineering. Definitely hesitant and procrastinating. 100%, that was easy. 17, my reluctance to get too involved has gotten me into trouble with people, or my eagerness to have people depend on me has gotten me into trouble with them. I would say my eagerness to have people depend on me. I think I've been very eager, especially in friendships in my life, to develop really close relationships and to have that sort of maybe unhealthy, toxic, dependent, especially best friendships, and especially ones I had in my teens and early 20s, where I was over eager to make that deep connection and it did not turn out well. So maybe that. 18, usually I have been able to put my feelings aside to get the job done or needed to work through my feelings before I could act. Definitely needed to work through my feelings before I could act. I am very emotional and they definitely stop me from doing things that I'm trying to do or wanting to do because I really struggle to move forward without processing my emotions. 19, generally I have been methodical and cautious or adventurous and taken risks. Definitely methodical and cautious. I'm very cautious and I have to work through every possibility before I jump in. 20, I have tended to be a supportive, giving person who enjoys the company of others, or serious, reserved person who likes discussing issues. That's hard because both of those are true. I think I'm a very supportive and giving person and I enjoy being with people, especially one-on-one, but I'm also quite a serious person and can be very reserved, and I love discussing serious issues. It's one of my favorite things to do. That one's also hard. I think I have to ask my husband on this too, because I feel like both of these things are true. We decided on the serious, reserved person who likes discussing issues. 21. I've often felt the need to be a pillar of strength or perform perfectly. Definitely perform perfectly. I'm such a perfectionist. 22. I've typically been interested in asking tough questions and maintaining my independence, or maintaining my stability and peace of mind. I think the first one. 23. I've been too hard-nosed and skeptical, or soft-hearted and sentimental. I can be both, but definitely more so soft-hearted and sentimental, I would say. 24. I've often worried that I'm missing out on something better, or if I let down my guard, someone will take advantage of me. I guess I would say the second one, just because, as I said earlier, I've had a lot of experiences where I was really eager to let down my guard and then had especially friends take advantage of my willingness to be open and to give my all to the relationship. So yeah, I guess that one. I've definitely had my guard up more as I've gotten older. 25. My habit of being standoffish has annoyed people, or my habit of telling people what to do has annoyed people. Probably telling people what to do. I do tend to do that. I feel like if I think that there's a better way to do something, then I will be vocal about that, and that's probably annoying, even if I'm right. 26. Usually when troubles have gotten to me, I have been able to tune them out or treated myself to something I've enjoyed. I would say treated myself to something I've enjoyed. I've never been good at tuning out my emotions, and I'm definitely getting better at self-care as a way to try to deal with them or take care of myself when I'm struggling with something. 27. I have depended upon friends and they have known they can depend on me, or not depended on people. I've done things on my own. These questions are hard. Maybe I'll say not depended on people, because I have spent a lot of my life dealing with things on my own and not wanting to involve other people at the risk of them feeling like I'm a burden. 28. I have tended to be detached and preoccupied, or moody and self-absorbed. I would say moody and self-absorbed. I'm very moody, as I have said a million times in this video and on my channel in general. I'm a very emotional person, so definitely moody, and I can be self-absorbed. I am a Leo after all. 29. I have liked to challenge people and shake them up, or comfort people and calm them down. I do both. I think I would probably lean towards the first one of challenging people, just because I really like to play devil's advocate in discussions, and if someone sort of brings up something that I don't necessarily agree with, I like to challenge them on it and have that discussion and figure out where they're coming from and all of that. I think that sort of debate or intellectual curiosity has always been part of my personality, though I would say that I do try to comfort people and calm them when they need to be calmed. 30. I've generally been an outgoing, sociable person, or an earnest, self-disciplined person. I am not outgoing or sociable, so the second one. Okay, 31. I've usually been shy about showing my abilities, or liked to let people know what I can do well. I was super shy as a kid, but I also, even through my shyness, enjoyed when I knew I was good at something and wanted people to notice that I was good at those things. I could be a bit of a show-off when I knew that I was good at something. So I think I'll say the second one, liked to let people know what I can do well. 32. Pursuing my personal interests has been more important to me than having comfort and security, or having comfort and security has been more important to me than pursuing my personal interests. I guess I would say the second one. 33. When I've had conflict with others, I've tended to withdraw or rarely backed down. I would say tended to withdraw because I don't really like conflict and I get overwhelmed. 34. I have given in too easily and let others push me around, or been too uncompromising and demanding with others. I would say given in too easily and let others push me around. 35. I've been appreciated for my unsinkable spirit and great sense of humor, or quiet strength and exceptional generosity. I would say quiet strength and exceptional generosity. Yeah. 36. Much of my success has been due to my talent for making a favorable impression, or achieved despite my lack of interest in developing interpersonal skills. I think the first one. I do think I'm good at interacting with people. I am an introvert. I do struggle with anxiety in social situations, but I also tend to work really hard to connect to people or be friendly to people even when I am uncomfortable. So I think the first one, I think I make a good impression. For statistical purposes only, 37, I am female and my Myers-Briggs type is INFJ. Okay, this is the magic moment. I'm going to click score test. Let's see what happens. Score test. Okay, so I'm a bit confused here. Obviously, I have never taken an Enneagram test before, and I'm not uber familiar with how it works and the different types, but I got a three-way tie between type 1, type 3, and type 4. And from what I've read, you're typically one type with a wing of another type on one or the other side of your main type. So I have read a bunch of different forums and things since the last clip I took, and a lot of people seem to recommend to really dive into the types that you got and do some self-reflection to try to sort out which type you are. So I'm going to spend some time doing that. I may even take another test from a different website to see if those results help to clarify anything for me. So I think what I'm going to do is stop filming for today and spend some time reading about the types and thinking about them, and then maybe taking another test. And then tomorrow I will set up a spread and film that process so you can see it and try to make more sense of what this means, because I feel a little overwhelmed and confused. So we shall see. I would love to know in the comments down below what your result was in doing this test. What did you get? What was your score? Did you have one clear type? Are you like me with multiple tied types and just utter confusion? Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know, I'm confused. So I'm gonna go do that, try to sort out my life. And next clip, I will be working in my bullet journal to make some kind of spread to learn from this experience. Hello, welcome back to my tabletop. I've taken the better part of the past 24 hours to reflect on the results, to read detailed profiles of all of the types that I scored high for, to lurk on forums and listen to podcasts and watch videos and read article after article. And after all of that, I think I have figured out my type. So, from what I can tell, I believe I am a type 1 wing 2, which is a type 1 who has some of the traits of type 2. So type 1 is the reformer and type 2 is the giver. And together, when you're a type 1 wing 2, that type is called the activist. So that is what I think I am. Let me know in the comments if you know a lot about the Enneagram and mistyping between type 1 and 4, because I went back and forth a bunch of times between the two before I realized that type 1 and type 4 are connected by a stress and or growth link depending on the direction, and that could be the reason why I related to a lot of the aspects of a type 4 without connecting to sort of any of the core fears or beliefs of a type 4. I'm not really going to get into that in my spread because that's just kind of a next step of complexity that I'm not ready for. The Enneagram is a lot more complex than I had expected, so I'm going to kind of stick with the basics of what it means to be a type 1 wing 2 for now, but I definitely see myself diving a lot deeper and trying to learn more about some of these other aspects of the Enneagram that I'm just not quite ready to figure out at the moment. Since I'm putting the spread after my first weekly of March, I decided to try to make it fit in with this month's theme, so I'm setting this up in a similar way to what I did for my March setup. In the center, I'm drawing the Enneagram diagram, and then along the edges, I'm going to write all of the information about my type. So as I said, I am a type 1 wing 2, which is called the activist, and it's a combination of the reformer and the giver. My basic fear is being bad or immoral. My basic desire is for justice and equality. My primary emotional response is internalized anger, and I'm part of the instinctual or gut or body triad, which includes types 8, 9, and 1. My core motivation is a need to be right and have integrity, to be beyond criticism and condemnation, to improve myself, others, and the world. My emotional habit is resentment. It's difficult for me to identify with my anger. I actually noticed in editing this video that I said earlier that I don't really get angry. And it's interesting because I found this information that the emotional habit of type 1s is resentment, and that we are more comfortable calling our anger irritation or frustration rather than admitting that we're angry, and that we turn our anger inward to fuel our inner critic. And that was really interesting to me because I never really thought about being irritated or frustrated as being angry, but of course they are versions of that emotion. So that's really interesting to me. I don't really get angry in the sense of yelling and screaming and getting, that kind of anger. I guess what people typically would think of as an example of anger or basic example of anger, but I definitely do feel irritation and frustration quite often, and I do feel righteous anger about issues that I feel passionately about. So that's kind of interesting to think about. Then I listed my strengths: honest, responsible, empathetic, and ethical. And weaknesses: perfectionism, pride, aversion to criticism, and hypersensitivity. And then what I'm aiming for, or what I should be aiming for, which is self-compassion and balance. Once I had all the information along the sides written in, I filled in the rest of my diagram in the center. So I numbered each type around the circumference of the circle, and then I split this diagram in 3 sections. The top 3 types, 8, 9, and 1, are the gut, body, or instinctual types, and their primary emotion is anger. 2, 3, and 4 are the heart types or feeling types, and their primary emotion is shame. And then 5, 6, and 7 are the head or thinking types, and their primary emotion is fear. As you can see, I drew lines connecting the types in a pattern, so I'm not going to go into depth into this because I'm still very much a beginner and learning what this even means. But my understanding is that type 1s are connected to type 4 and type 7 through stress and growth lines. So a type 1 can take on traits of a type 4 when in stress, and a type 1 can take on traits of a 7 when they are in growth. So take that how you will. I'm still figuring out what that means. But I believe this is why I identified so much with a lot of the traits of a type 4 and was confused about which type I was, because I think I am picking up a lot of traits of type 4 because I'm under stress. And unfortunately, I'm under stress all of the time, so it makes sense that I didn't realize that this could just be a stress response and not just my personality. Interesting to note. So that's my spread. I hope you like it. And now back to my face yesterday, going back into the past to say goodbye. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching my process of taking the Enneagram test and trying to figure out what my results mean and making a spread out of it. I feel like there is a lot to be learned from this process, but I definitely think I need more time to let it sink in and process it and do even more reading. But I'm excited. I'm glad that I did this. Thank you to all of you who recommended it to me. I think this could be a great source of inspiration for some more self-reflection and growth. And of course, I would love to know what your Enneagram type is. Let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious if there's one type that is more prevalent within the bullet journaling community, or if we're all over the place. And also let me know if there's any other things like this, personality tests that I could do that are kind of within this similar vein that could be fun to make a spread out of, because I really enjoy doing this and learning more about myself in a bit of a more structured way instead of just sitting around thinking about who I am as a person, or going to therapy, which is also a good tool to get to know yourself. But I am rambling, so I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you very soon in my next one. Bye, friends. Thank you to my patrons for their support. Extra special thanks to our newest patron, Loren. Welcome to the squad. We are so excited to have you. If you at home want to join the squad, feel free. There's a link in the card and in the description box down below. If you're looking for something else to watch in the same vein, I recommend my Myers-Briggs and astrology videos.